Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Reading Mythology with Dan. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's getting prepared, but not over-prepared for the storm coming up. I know it's supposed to go very, very wide, and it's supposed to affect a lot of people, so we got to make sure everybody's safe, especially old people and infants and people that can't take care of themselves. They should be always taken care of. If you have the means, you should do this. This is the thing. That being said, panic buying things, it's not a good idea because you're going to overbuy and overspend, and then you're going to have all the stuff that you can't use. Realistically, you need to be realistic of what you're buying and understand that you don't need 5-6 cases of water and 7 gallons of milk for a couple days. Like that's gonna, what are you gonna do? Water you could use, you could always store it, but milk, it's gonna go bad. Unless you have a massive family. But even still, that's a lot. Anyway, stay safe, stay warm. Hopefully your power doesn't go out and your pipes don't freeze. That's the big thing. You gotta take a shower and make coffee or tea or whatever your juice of choice is. The nectar of the gods, if you will. So next, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're about to finish this with Cupid and Sashi. We're about to finish the story, and we're going to get into the next one. But as we were last time, talking about Venus and Sashi, how Venus was giving Sashi a lot of tasks to prove herself. But Sashi, she listened to her sisters last time. Listened to her sisters because they were jealous of her. She should have never listened. But in her defense, she was just trying to do the best that she could. She trusted her sisters. She loved them and missed them, and they were with her forever. She didn't know they were jealous. We see it, but she didn't. So maybe Venus should have gave her like the a bone and understood that her sisters brainwashed her, and is not necessarily her fault. She listened to people that she loved. I mean, we all do that, right? Anyway, let's get to it. Her next child, so I'm going to go back, okay, and then we'll go forward. Okay. All happened, of course, as the tower had foretold. Persephone was willing to do Venus a service. Because remember, Venus needed some of Persephone's beauty, and she sent Sashi to get it. Okay. Persephone was willing to do Venus a service, and Sashi, greatly encouraged, bore back the box, returning far more quickly than she had gone down, because she wanted to get it done. It seems she wanted to be able to like prove herself that she was good enough for her son. Her next trial, she brought upon herself through her curiosity and still more her vanity. I think that vanity is going to get her in trouble. She felt that she must see what that beauty charm in the box was, and perhaps use it a little for herself. Why would she do this? That's a stupid choice. For herself? Like, come on, man. Like, you're like, for real? Come on. She knew quite as well as Venus did that her looks were not improved by what she had gone through. And always in her mind was the thought that she might suddenly meet Cupid. If only she could make herself more lovely for him. She was unable to resist the temptation. She opened the box. To her sharp disappointment, she saw nothing there. It seemed empty. Immediately, however, a deadly languor took possession of her, and she fell into a heavy sleep. Like, why would you do that? Immortal. She's a mortal. And a god sent her on a quest to the underworld to go talk to another god to borrow beauty, to have beauty. Like how? And it's like, you're like, what? No, I'm just going to open the box. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. It makes no sense. At this juncture, the god of love himself stepped forward. Cupid was healed of his wound by now and longing for Sashi. Oh, he has no idea. It is a difficult matter to keep love imprisoned. But he was forgiven. He wanted to forgive her. Like, she made a mistake. He understood she made a mistake. And he was going to forgive her. But Venus, nuh-uh. Venus is like, nope. You done messed up. Now you got to pay. Venus had locked the door, but there were windows All Cupid had to do was fly out with his little wings and start looking for his wife. She was lying almost beside the palace, and he found her at once. In the moment, he had wiped the sleep from her eyes and put it back into the box. Well, that's nice of him. Then waking her with just a prick from one of his arrows, boop, and scolding her a little for her curiosity. He bade her to take Persephone's box to his mother, and he assured her that all thereafter would be well. While the joyful Psyche hastened on her errand, the god flew up to Olympus. He wanted to make sure that Venus would give no more trouble. So he went straight to Jupiter himself. The father of gods and men consented at once to all that Cupid asked. Even though he said, "You have done me a great harm in the past, seriously injured my good name and my dignity by making me change myself into a bull and a swan and so on. However, I cannot refuse you." That's great. Then he called forth a full assembly of gods and announced to all, including Venus, that Cupid and Psyche were formally married, and that he proposed to bestow immortality upon the bride. Mercury brought Psyche into the palace of the gods, and Jupiter himself gave her the ambrosia to taste, which made her immortal. This, of course, completely changed the situation. Venus could not object to a goddess. For her daughter-in-law, the alliance had become eminently suitable. No doubt she reflected also that Psyche, living up in heaven with a husband and children to care for, could not be much on earth to turn men's head and interfere with her own worship. So it's a win-win for both of them. That's great. So all came to a most happy end, love and the soul, for that is what Psyche means. Oh, that's great. And had sought after sore trials, found each other, and that union could never be broken. Well, that's good. She made a mistake. That's all it was. It's a simple mistake. She didn't know. It's not like she knew, right? I don't remember anywhere in this story did he say, "Do not look at me," right? I don't remember it saying that. I mean, it could have. But she got curious. She made a mistake. She paid her price. She did her penance. And now it's time to move on. And it's happily ever after. That's great. She didn't have to turn into some hideous creature. And then Venus didn't get her way. But she did. Now she's immortal. Now they're probably going to be besties. Okay. 8 brief tales of lovers. Here we go. The story was found only in Ovid. It is quite characteristic of him at best. Will told several rhetorical monologues. Rhetorical monologues. A little essay on love, by the way. Once upon a time, the deep red berries of the mulberry tree were as white as snow. The change in color came about strangely and sadly. The death of 2 young lovers was the cause. When love dies, it's a terrible thing. It's an absolutely terrible thing. It sucks the joy out of everything. I gotta look up stuff. Paramus and Thisbe. I had to look these words up because these are Greek, and I would have. There ain't no way. I'm from America. We didn't learn this stuff, so I have no idea. Paramus and Thisbe. What is it? Let's look one more time. Thisbe. Got it. He, the most beautiful youth, and she, the loveliest maiden of all the East, lived in Babylon. The queen, Semiramis. We're going to go that way. And houses so close together that one wall was common on both. Growing up thus side by side, they learned to love each other. It kind of sounds like Romeo and Juliet, maybe. They longed to marry, but their parents forbade. Okay, Romeo and Juliet. Love, however, cannot be forbidden. The more that flame is covered up, the hotter it burns. Also, love can always find a way. It is impossible that these 2 hearts were on fire should be kept apart. Because at the end of the day, you cannot determine who you love. You just love who you love, and that's okay. It's okay to love who you love. Love is beautiful. Love is amazing. We need more of that and less violence and bad things. In the wall both houses shared, there was a little chink. A chink is like, I guess, like a piece in the wall that's missing, I assume. No one before it had noticed, but there was nothing a lover does not notice. Our two young people discovered it. Through it, they were able to whisper sweetly back and forth. Oh yeah, it's like a hole. Oh, I gotta look at this. Thisp. Yeah, thisp. Thisp on one side. God dog it. I gotta look up the other one. Paramus on the other. I'm gonna go that way. The hateful wall that separated them had become their means of reaching each other. But for you, we could touch, kiss. They would say, but at least you let us speak together. You give us a passage for loving words to reach loving ears. We are not ungrateful. So they would talk, and as night came on, and they must part, each would press on the wall kisses that would not go through to the lips on the other side. Every morning when the dawn had put out the stars, and the sun's rays had dried the hoarfrost on the grass, they would steal to the crack, and standing there, now utter the words of burning love, and now lament their hard fate, but it always in softest whispers. Finally, a day when they could endure no longer, they decided that that very night they would try to slip away and steal out through the city into an open country where at last they could be together in freedom. They agreed to meet at a well-known place, the tomb of Nemus. Under a tree there, a tall mulberry full of snow-white berries, near which a cool spring bubbled up. The plan pleased them, as it seemed to them the day would never end. At last the sun sank into the sea and night arose. In the darkness, Thisp crept out and made her way in all secrecy to the tomb. Paramus had not come. Still she waited for him, her love making her bold. But of a sudden she saw by the light of the moon a lioness. The fierce beast had made a kill. Her jaws were bloody, and she was coming to slake her thirst in the spring. She was still far away from Thisp to escape, but as she fled, she dropped her cloak. The lioness came up upon it on her way back to her lair, and she mouthed it and tore it before disappearing into the woods. This is what Paramus saw when he appeared a few minutes later. Before him lay the blood-stained shreds of the cloak, and in the clear dust were the tracks of the lioness. The conclusion was inevitable. He never doubted that he knew all. Thisp was dead. He had let his love, a tender maiden, come alone to a place full of danger, and not been there first to protect her. "It is I who killed you," he said. He lifted up from the trampled dust what was left of the cloak, and kissed it again and again, and carried it to the mulberry tree. Now he said, "You shall drink my blood too." He drew his sword and plunged it into his side. The blood spurted out over the berries and dyed them a dark red. Thisp, although terrified of the lioness, was still more afraid to fail her lover. She ventured to go back to the tree of the tryst, the mulberry with shining white fruit. She could not find it. A tree was there, but not one gleam of white was on the branches. Did she not be like, was she not like, this, I think this is the right tree, because this is like retracing my footsteps. She was just like, no, this can't be the right tree because it's not white. That's the only thing. She didn't have no other landmarks. Just like, that doesn't make sense. As she stared at it, something moved on the ground beneath. She started back, shuddering. But in a moment, peering through the shadows, she saw what was there. It was Paramus, bathed in blood and dying. She flew to him and threw her arms around him. She kissed his cold lips and begged him to look at her, to speak to her. "It is I, your Thisp, your dearest," she cried to him. At the sound of her name, he opened his heavy eyes for one look, then death closed them. She saw his sword fallen from his hand, and beside it, her cloak stained and torn. She understood all. Your own hand killed you, she said, and your love for me. I too can be brave. I too can love. Only death would have the power to separate us. It shall not have the power now. She plunged into her heart, and the sword that was still wet with his life's blood. The gods were pitiful at the end, and the lovers' parents too. The deep red fruit of the mulberry is the everlasting memorial of these true lovers, and one urn holds the ashes of the two whom not even death could part. That's Romeo and Juliet, just with swords instead of poison. Maybe Shakespeare ripped off this story, because it's besides the warring families, the families that didn't like each other. That's kind of like, that sounds like Romeo and Juliet. I'm just gonna say. Anyway, Orpheus and Eurydice. The account of Orpheus with Argonauts is told only by, Apollonius of Rhodes, a 3rd century Greek poet. The rest of the story is told best by 2 Roman poets, Virgil and Ovid, in very much the same style. The Latin names of the gods are therefore used here. Apollonius influenced Virgil a good deal. Indeed, any one of the 3 might have written the entire story as it stands. The very earliest musicians were the gods. Athena was not distinguished in that line, but she invented the flute, although she had never played upon it. Hermes made the lyre and gave it to Apollo, who drew from it sounds so melodious that when he played in Olympus, the gods forgot all else. Hermes also made the shepherd pipe. I was about to say shepherd's pie, which is delicious, for himself, and drew enchanting music from him. Pan made the pipe of reeds, which can sing as sweetly as a nightingale in spring. The Muses had no instrument peculiar to them, but their voices were lovely beyond compare. Next in the order came a few mortals, so excellent in their art that they almost equaled the divine performers. Of these, by far the greatest was Orpheus. On his mother's side, he was more than mortal. He was a son of one of the Muses and a Thracian prince. I'm going to look that up. That is Thracian, guys. Thracian. A Thracian prince. His mother gave him a gift of music, and Thrace, where he grew up, fostered it. The Thracians were the most musical of the peoples of Greece, but Orpheus had no rival there or anywhere except the gods alone. There was no limit to his power when he played and sang. No one and nothing could resist him. In the deep, still woods upon the Thracian mountains, Orpheus, with his singing lyre, led the trees, lead the wild beasts of the wilderness. Everything animate and inanimate followed him. He moved the rocks on the hillside and turned the course of the rivers. So this mortal could do things by playing music. That seems dangerous. Little is told about his life before his ill-fated marriage. That's not good. For which he is even better known than for his music. But he went on one famous expedition and proved himself a most useful member of it. He sailed with Jason on the Argo. Jason? Jason. Of all the people and all the names hard to pronounce, with this Jason. Okay. And when the heroes were weary or rowing was especially difficult, he would strike his lyre and they would be aroused to fresh zeal, and their oars would smite the sea together in time to the melody. Or if a quarrel threatened, he would play so tenderly and soothingly that the fiercest spirits would grow calm and forget their anger. He saved the heroes, too, from the sirens, when they heard far over the sea singing so enchantingly sweet that it drove out all other thoughts except a desperate longing to hear more. They turned the ship to the shore where the sirens sat. Orpheus snatched up his lyre and played a tune so clear and ringing that it drowned the sounds of those lovely fatal voices. The ship was put back on their course, and the winds sped her away from the dangerous place. If Orpheus had not been there, the Argonauts too would have left their bones on the Sirens' island. So I guess they ate the people? Is that what sirens did? They ate them? They were hungry? They ate people? I don't know. I know there's sirens in mermaids and stuff. It's like, I see a lot of stuff about mystical beings like Bigfoot, right? It's like you see Bigfoot, aliens and stuff, but nobody talks about mermaids. Nobody talks about mermaids. Why are they getting left out? I think mermaids are more like, why can't they be real? Like, we have no idea what the ocean holds. We've only discovered a small, very, very small portion of what's in our own world and our own oceans. But maybe it is a portal somewhere to another world. Anyway, discussion for another time. Hope y'all enjoyed it as I did. Come and see me next time. Thank you so much. Have a good day.